Hey everybody, Lars here. Gonna get to it right away today and do a quick little review of the second half of the unit slides. Where did I put that? Because I want you to just see a little bit of Booleans and if-else in action. I believe I had, yes, I called it Rev 2. Hey, there we go. Alright, let's get started because I don't want to make this a super long one. We are now dealing with Boolean variables. Boolean variables are special in that they only hold one of two values. They are either true or they are false. So like any other variable, actually I'll call this var1. You can see the color changes. That's idle changing the color because it's a keyword. Make sure to capitalize that T and make sure to capitalize that F. So that's simply put, those are Boolean variables. So now if you print one of them, I save and run, you'll see that it prints true. Now, that doesn't really do us a lot of good. It can in some cases, if you want to set conditions at the beginning of your program and then test them later. But what we want to do is use variables. I'll create one called num1, make it equal to 12. I'll create another called num2. I'll make it equal to, let's say 20. Now, I can use these variables to set up conditions in order to assign my Booleans. So let's say I'll make variable 3 equal to the condition of num1 being greater than num2. And you can imagine in programming a situation where you might want to test that condition. As you look at assignment 2, you see you're testing what different numbers are. Are they greater than this? Are they less than this? Are they equal to something? So that right there is an assignment statement that will create a condition, evaluate that condition, and if it's true or false, it will put that value into the Boolean variable var3. In this case, num1 being 12, I will print it. Num1 being 12 is not greater than num2. I'm guessing var3 will be false. Let's see if I'm right. I am. It is false. So that's basically what we want to know about the conditional operators. We create conditions that will either be true or false, and then we can either use them as they are in if statements or decision structures, or we can assign them to variables and use those variables. Now, if we quickly set up an if, now that I have var3, I can just say if var3 print true. And as you learned, I can also have an else statement that prints false. Now, this is a binary condition, so you know if it's not true that it's going to be false. So I can use that else without having to test another condition. If I needed to test another condition, as you saw later in your slides, I would use an elif, but I didn't have to. I just used an else there. Let's real quick. Let's see what that gets us. False and false. So as you see, I created a condition, num1 greater than num2, and it put the value false into variable 3. I print it right there. That's the first one. And then I say if var3, so if, and that is false. So I ignore the first condition, and I perform the else, in this case printing false, and that's the second false right there. Now, as easy as this, we can change the results of the program. Because now num1, 12, is less than num2. var3 is true. I print true. And then if var3 true, I print true. And I skip the else block because I've already printed out the one up there. So that's the basics. Now I can also create complex. Let me get a little space here for myself. I can also create complex conditionals with the Boolean algebra operators, as you saw, the and the or and the not. So using what I have right here, I can make variable 4 equal to num1 less than num2 and num2 bun2. Ubuntu num2 equal to, in this case we'll make it true, so we'll say 20. Now, you don't have to necessarily in Python, but just to keep things neat and readable and understandable, I always put parens around my conditions that I use with Boolean algebra. So now var4, I am guessing, will be num1's less than that true, and I think it'll be true. Let's find out if I'm right. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see, we have the first three, and then the last one says true. So let's do one more thing here. Let's say num2 equal to 21. So now the first condition, num1 less than num2, will be true, but the second condition, num2 equal to 21, will be false. So what's going to happen? It says false, and the reason it says false is because this is not true. And with an AND operator, both conditions have to be true in order to get a true value in the resulting variable. Now, if I change this to an OR, well, this is a different animal. Now, just one of the two has to be correct. And because this one is, it will change the value and become true again. So that's the difference. You remember in the slides we did the truth tables. So you can see the difference between the AND and the OR. With the AND, all conditions when you put things together with an AND have to be true in order to result in a true value. But with the OR, just one of them have to be true. Now the NOT is also, let's do this. Now I'll make it an AND again, so both sides have to be true. But now I've put a NOT in front of the num2 equal to 21. That's going to generate false, but that NOT will reverse that value and become true. So num1 continues to be less than num2, and that statement there will also be true. I'm guessing var4 will be true, and it is. So you can see that you can get very tricky and very confusing with the Boolean operators. That's not the point. I don't want you to get confused. I'm not going to give you a 3-line Boolean algebra equation to evaluate and figure out what the value is. That's not what it's about. I just want you to be sure that you're comfortable with these things and you can use them. Most of the time you'll use one AND or maybe one OR, sometimes two. That's it. I just want you to be comfortable with how they are used. Then now we're really getting to some of the important parts of programming where you're going to take your data and you're going to evaluate it. You're going to say, hey, is this number, you can imagine an accounting program. Is this number greater than $1? Well, then let's add this to that and this to that. This is where the programming starts coming in, and you take the logic that you have in your head and start putting it down in code and using it to make decisions on what you want to do with your numbers and what you don't want to do with your data and your numbers. Okay? That's it. I told you I wasn't going to kill you on this one. Very simple stuff. Boolean variables. They are either true or false. Binary values, true or false. We use the conditionals to evaluate our data and create the Boolean values, either true or false. We can use the arithmetic conditionals, and then when we have values from that, we can then use the Boolean operators and either put them together or say, well, if either of these are correct, we're going to say correct and use the OR. And like I said, the NOT reverses things. Now, the last thing is right there, the if statements. This is just a way we can test to see whether things are true or false. And if they're true, we do the block right underneath the if statement. If they are not true, then we do the else. Now, if we wanted to, we could do an elif. This is not a very good condition for an elif. If num1 is greater than, we'll say 10, then print num1 greater than 10. Okay, now, if we did this, num1 is less than 10. Okay, so If num1 is less than 10, it's not. It would print num1 greater than 10. I meant greater than 10. And if not, it would say less than 10, but we're missing something here. What if num1 is equal to 10? Here, let's run it here. First thing we're going to do before we run it is get rid of our print statement so we're not messy. Okay, num1 greater than 10. So num1 is indeed greater than 10 because it is 12. If I came up here and made it a 9 and I rerun, I now say num1 is less than 10, but we've got a problem. What if I make it 10? Now it says num1 is less than 10 because we fell through because that wasn't true. It's not greater than, it's equal to. And we did the else. Now we don't check another condition before the else, so you're going to get the else. So num1, it says num1 is less than 10, but it really isn't. So we use the elif. And the elif lets us create another condition, num1 equal to 10. And we'll print num1 is 10. And then we can have our else say print num1 is less than 10. So now we have all our bases covered. It says num1 is 10, so we know we're good. Let's go make sure our other things are still okay. I go with a 9. It says it's less than 10. I like it. I go with 11. And it says it's greater than 10. So that's the basics. Don't freak out. I don't want you to think that the quiz on Thursday is going to be super confusing and do something complicated with these things. My goal is not to confuse you and give you a hard test. My goal is to expose you to all these things and have you play with little programs every day in order to get comfortable with these concepts and use these things. There will probably on the quiz be 3 or 4 multiple choice questions. Do the Zell reading. I can imagine a few questions coming out of the Zell reading. And then lastly, there'll be a quick little section where you'll write a very small piece of code. And it's just going to make sure that you have an understanding of what's been going on, Boolean variables, how we use conditionals to create the Boolean variables, and then how we can take those and use Boolean algebra to create more complex Boolean situations, and then at the end using them with our if-else or if-else structures to make decisions and start examining our data in order to make the program do what at the end of the day we want the program to do. And you're going to see a lot of this in action in the coming weeks. And you'll see that this is the basics and you will be fine, so you have no worries. All right, hopefully that was quick. I don't know how long I've gone, but we're in a home stretch. It's Monday. The unit's going to end Thursday. Eric and I will set up the quiz. It'll be open all day Thursday for you to take. So if you want to do it in the morning, great. If you want to do it later that evening, great. Please get it done by midnight that day because Sakai is going to close things up then. Also Thursday, both of the assignments are due. As you probably know by now, they are not exactly backbreaking. So make sure you do them and make sure you concentrate. My whole idea of getting you an announcement every day or every other day and doing these videos is to keep you involved. Like I said, being a programmer is like being a musician or being good at a sport. You don't just do it for 2 hours every week and then do that every week and then eventually good things happen. Programming is like, I guess the instrument is the best thing I can think of, like playing an instrument. You do it every day. And if you do it a little bit every day, you see that you start traveling on that path towards expertise a lot quicker and a lot more effectively than if you take long periods off and then you have to remind yourself again of what you did in the past, and then you have to move forward a little bit, and then you forget, and blah, 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 blah. It just gets crazy. Okay? So take a look at these things, do a little bit every day, and you should be fine. I'll do a reminder announcement tomorrow to let you know what's going on again, but everything is going to be fine. Don't sweat the quiz. It's not going to be crazy. And then I'll probably give you a day off on Friday, and then I'll release all the Unit 2 stuff on Saturday. So you can use the weekend to start getting that stuff done, okay? All right, cool. Then I am out of here, and and I will see you online sometime tomorrow. All right, be good.